Hello, welcome to another Gundam Battle Operation 2 video. That is the new suit, the Jesta Shezarr Type Team A, and I got a match here for you at 650 rating on City Ruins, and we'll see how we do. I mean, I always got to mention it. I'm not a raid player, so we'll see how we can do, and hopefully we can do well. But yeah, we have another Jesta, and this is our fourth Jesta and our first raid Jesta. And a lot of people are saying this might be the best Jesta. Why is that? Well, we'll see. In fact, it's so good, a lot of people are calling it overpowered. So, yeah, we'll definitely have to see what that's about. And I also just want to mention that literally everybody called that this suit was going to be a raid. I don't think there was one person that thought this was going to be a general or a support. I think everybody was simultaneously right, so congratulations everybody, we figured out a suit. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to the stats. As I mentioned, this is a 650 raid. You have 21,500 health with 20 ballistic resistance, 23 beam resistance, 29 melee resistance, 17 range strength, 48 melee strength, 135 movement speed with 225 boost speed. You have 80 thruster gauge and 66 turning speed, and because this thing, I believe it has space compatibility, it turns into 75 in space, which is pretty nice. And for slots, you have 22 close range, 18 mid range, and 8 long range slots. And looking at it now, the stats aren't too exciting. I mean, obviously the melee is going to be the highest thing here because it's a raid. That only has like one melee weapon, so they want that melee strength to be high, and because of that, it also has high close range slots. But you don't have to do just melee with this, because of the certain skills that this suit has. You can actually do a pretty good thruster gauge build on this, and I think this this build I'm using right now is not my pure melee build. Sometimes when I'm picking I have a heavy attack raid. Yeah, this thing has a heavy attack. If it wasn't obvious. Usually I'll make a meme build where it's just all melee, right? This thing you can actually do other stuff where I gave it thruster gauge, I gave it some beam defense, because I do think you do need to put some beam defense on this. It has 23 beam defense, and that can just utterly melt away at 650 by everything. So definitely buff that up. And I did give myself a little bit of some melee strength, right? So just a combination of those three things: thruster gauge, melee, and beam defense. And yeah, I did pretty well with it. All right, now we're going on to the weapons here. Oh, I should also mention that if you're looking for a range suit, this is not it. This is not your range raid. This is not your Delta Plus. Okay, has 17 range strength and uses just a beam rifle, which isn't known for damage. So speaking of the Jesta beam rifle, we're starting off with the weapons, and that is your first primary weapon. And yeah, it has 1,700 damage with 6 rounds and 350 range. And of course, it is the Jesta beam rifle, so you can charge this. And when you do charge it, it does consume 3 shots, and each shot does instant stun. I should mention that the regular shots on this also instant stun, so you can get 6 individual stuns, or you can get 2 3 burst charge attacks, right? So yeah, and I believe the charge attacks also the charge shots, I should say, also have pretty good maneuver armor breaking. You can fire that, and then yeah, even if they have even if they have something like damage control, you can just throw in like your Vulcans, or get a pretty quick stun that way, right, against maneuver armor. And of course, even though this thing does have low range strength, if you are fighting against a support, it still does some good damage if you use your charge shot on them and get a stun. And you can follow up with your melee, of course, which leads up to your next primary weapon, which is your melee weapon, which is a lot of which is there. The Shezarr Team Arm Beam Saber, which is 2,700 damage, and yeah, it's just a beam saber that shares the same moveset with the Jesta. Instead of having the typical Federation downswing, it has the Jesta Federation downswing, where it's not super just sweeping everywhere, right? It's not super beneficial with netcode like the original, the OG Federation downswing, right? But yeah, that's it for your primary weapons. On to your secondary weapons, you have the Shezarr Team Vulcan Pod system, which is 130 damage with 40 rounds and 175 range. This does have really high stun accumulation. I believe it takes 15 shots of stun, and they do fire pretty quickly. So you can use that to chase down somebody, get a stun, follow up with something, or combine it with your next weapon, the waist-mounted grenades, to get a stun accumulation. Or like I said, if your beam rifle doesn't get a stun, you can, you going up against maneuver armor or shock dampeners, you can throw in that beam rifle, combine it with Vulcans. So yeah. And of course, you can also use the Vulcans for typical things like taking out pilots or finishing off low health enemies. I mean, honestly, 130 damage, base damage is pretty nice. Even though it doesn't have that high of a range stat, it's still pretty nice with the constant damage you can do. But yeah, on to your last secondary weapon, which, yeah, this thing only has 4 weapons. You have the waist-mounted grenade, which is 450 damage with 6 rounds and 300 range. And unfortunately, you have to stand still to use these, kind of like with the Jesta, or I think even the D-type you have to stand still for. Either way, yeah. Actually, no. I think even the Jesta cannon and the Jesta Shezarr Team Type B will have to stand still to use their grenades, right? So it's basically that, except might be a little bit more detrimental to use those since you're just standing still and using them. But anyway, you can use them to lay down some extra damage. It does take 4 of the 6 missiles to get a stun, so it's not like the best thing in the world, but I've seen some people use it for just, again, like that extra damage, or if they downswing somebody and their teammate's coming in and they just want to throw in their own damage without hitting their teammate, they can do that. I don't know how good the leg breaking is on it, because I know that was something a lot of the Jesta players would do, was downswing somebody and go straight for the legs with those grenades, and it would do a lot of damage, right? But yeah, so that's the thing you can do. Alright, and that's it for the weapons. Now we're on to the skills. You do have Assault Booster level 2, you have Balancers, Ambac level 2, Maneuver Armor level 2, so not only can you tank instant stuns while boosting, I believe you'll take less damage as well. I believe, what, 10%? Might have to correct me on that one. You do have Force Injectors level 2, so Force Injectors, there we go. I think I said something different, but yeah, that basically you can just boost back and forth rapidly. It takes less out of your thruster gauge, right? You have Melee Combo Control level 2, so you get 3 melee swings. You have, of course, the Heavy Attack. The Heavy Attack is you stop for a second to do a poke, and then you do a thrusting slash. It doesn't carry momentum, sadly, so you can't like boost and use it. You have to do that. You have to do that pause first, right? Also, by the way, this is a really close match. I want to go ahead and point this out since there's only a few seconds left. Yeah, that we barely won that one. Yeah, like 1 kill. Nice. Good works all around, and we'll see what we got going on here with our match in the Jesta raid. Or raid Jesta, Shezarr, Team A, yeah. Mission completed. And, hey, almost 5,000 individual score, 200 points off, and 134k damage. Nice. I wasn't really expecting to get that. But I did get 3rd place and 6-3, so yeah, I'll take that. You know, me playing a raid. I was doing my job trying to go after the support and some other people sometimes. But yeah, back to the skills, right? You do have the EX boost, which is what the Stark Jagan has. I believe another suit has it, but I can't remember what that suit is off the top of my head. But essentially, you press the touchpad button, and I think this actually might be EX boost level 2. But you get 14 seconds to have infinite boost gauge, so you can boost back and forth as many times as you want in 14 seconds. It's basically just like a lesser overboost, right? However, when you do a dodge roll, it actually lessens the time that you have left by 5 seconds, I believe. So start off with 14, I think it goes down to 9, and so forth, right? That will lead up to, I believe, a total of 3 dodge rolls, which is pretty good. This thing already has a dodge roll in of itself, as we'll mention here in a second. So that will give you potentially 4 dodge rolls in a row, which is great for survivability. And because you have infinite boost of 14 seconds, because of the skills this thing already has that we'll mention later, great potential to run away from a battle. But yeah, we'll get there when we get there. You do have Shock Absorber level 3. You have Flight Control level 3, so you can boost while you're falling in the air, or you can do another jump. You have a dodge roll, as we mentioned. You have 1 dodge roll. You have the Stealth level 2. Yeah, you actually do. Yeah, you have Stealth. I think this is the first native cost 650 suit to have Stealth. And the thing is, a lot of people, it really shows playing the suit that people forget that stealth suits exist at 650 now. Well, I guess it's not really fair to say that because it just came out, right? But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of videos where people just get they're so not used to seeing a stealth suit that they just the free, almost free damage, you know. I feel like that's going to change when when people get more used to it, the suit, right? But yeah, you do have stealth, and it actually kind of makes the QA, the Yagdoga QA, a little bit more relevant now because it has anti-stealth. I think anti-stealth level 2. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, if you think you're gonna fight a Jesta, Team A Jesta, you can possibly you know, remove the dust off of that QA and see how that works. You do have Blast Stabilizer as well, which is, you know, mobile suit explosions don't affect you. You know, you don't get heavy staggered by them. You have Backbinder Cushion level 3, so you take less damage on your backpack, which I think is the same as Stark Jagen's. But yeah, speaking of that, you have a new skill, which you no doubt in my mind you noticed throughout this match. You have something called Flap Booster. Flap with a P. And yeah, it's this move combined with EX boost and heavy attack and stealth, pretty nasty set of skills. Now the Flap Booster, basically it's a third form of flight in this game. You know, we have something like the we have, you know, the transformation suits like the Zeta, or you know, just suits like that, the Wave Rider form, Delta Kais, Double Zetas, you know, stuff like that. But you also have the Bjarlink kind of flying, or, you know, I guess if you want to go by the originals, you have the Goof Flight type form of flying, where you press the touchpad and you will you can fly in the air, but you can kind of control yourself more. You're not constantly moving like in Wave Rider form. Now this one, the Flap Booster, this is basically just boosting around. It only works if you're boosting and you have to hold your jump button, whatever that may be. Because I know some people like to change their button layout, right? So if you're boosting and then you're holding the jump button, you'll start flying in the air. You'll start not levitating. You'll start ascending, and you'll notice that yeah, you can chase supports pretty easily if they're up above, like they're up on a high ground, right? Combined with having, you know, maneuver armor on this suit, can be hard to stun. With EX boost, you can have infinite boost to just fly around avoiding shots. Or, you know, you can fly around to go get somebody while you have stealth. They don't even know that you're chasing them. There's some videos I'm planning on posting, like little small like snippets of video, right? Where I'm playing with like Taru, where yeah, you can just get to a very good position behind a support, and the support won't even notice you're there unless, I guess, he's the QA, right? Yeah, and combined with the heavy attack, you can fly up behind a support that doesn't know you're there if he's on the high ground, and just get like a free 17k damaging heavy attack. Yeah. So this pretty much leads into the pros and cons for this suit. Starting off with the pros, really good set of skills. Really good set of skills. EX boost, infinite boost, you get 3 dodge rolls out of it. I believe, what makes me believe this is a level 2 EX boost is because the Stark Jagen, I don't believe the Stark Jagen can do three dodge rolls. I believe it can do 1 extra dodge roll and it goes away. Oh, which makes me, I forgot to mention that when you do overheat or the time runs out on the EX boost, it does take way longer for your overheat to go away. So keep that in mind. You don't just want to. It only once per life as well. So you don't want to use EX boost in a situation where you're just going to jump right in front of the enemy team without any boost gauge, and you're just going to die afterwards, right? So keep that in mind. But yeah, a good amount of skills here. The EX boost, the flat boosters are a really interesting way to move around. It's another kind of flight that they have in this game. Combined with having stealth, you can get in a lot of positions where the enemy team will not anticipate you. And of course, you can just heavy attack them. You're basically a high cost Hazel 2. So you can do some pretty disgusting damage that way. Some other positives. The Beam Saber does good damage. The Vulcans are also notable. They're pretty good Vulcans. They stun in 15 shots. The thruster gauge is actually pretty high on the suit. Just 80 right off the bat. I believe my build I have here was 99 thruster gauge. A little bit too much. I'll have to admit. But I love my boosting, right? I want to fly some more, right? I think that also reminds me of the flat booster. Every time you do ascend in the air using the flat booster, you do consume more thruster gauge while doing that. Sorry, that's my bad. I keep forgetting some of these smaller details on these suits. I say smaller. That's something that's actually something you probably have to know about using a flat booster. So that's my bad. But yeah, again, positive. Really big positive is the skills on this thing. Really good skills. And honestly, that's almost kind of it for the positives. But the thing is, those positives are really, really good. Which leads into the negatives. The negatives, it's a little bit hard because there's not a whole lot of negative stuff. Like usually the negatives I'm going to give for the suit are more going to have to do with how players play the game. Actually, no, there's actually one negative, and that's it has low range strength. So if you're trying to do range, yeah, it's not going to work. You're not going to get that much damage. But I know people that are going to play this, they're not going to be playing range. They're going to be trying to get close as possible for heavy attacks. So which leads into the negative aspects where I mentioned where it has to do with the players, where if you're really predictable, I mean, obviously, if you just keep coming up from behind, heavy attacking people, hopefully the enemy team will catch on. I say hopefully because I don't want to be the poor bastard that keeps getting heavy attacked because, like the poor support, right? Because my team's not paying attention, right? So if they are paying attention, your game plan can get figured out pretty fast. And I think because of these particular sets of skills, a lot of people, I think this is what's causing the suit to be called overpowered, which I think it's certainly a strong set of skills, right? But if you do get figured out, you can get stopped pretty easily. I've had matches where we've had people basically overexerting themselves multiple times in a row, trying to do the same tactic over and over again. Just come up from behind. Eventually, we just figure out, okay, he's coming from behind, so just always keep an eye out, right? And that's what we do. Even though he has stealth, it's pretty easy to figure out if somebody's going around a corner. He only has 2 ways to go out. Maybe if he's flying, he probably has a third option. And that's kind of where that overpowered statement comes from, because where it can fly over your head, or like if you're on city ruins, like we are here, there's potential for him to get around the enemy team and just fly on top of like high ground, like on the bridges, the highways, and just get away, right? A lot of again, it depends on the player skill. So the negatives for the suit, I don't think there's very, very few negatives just with the suit, and again, it's just more so with how people are playing it. Which leads into yeah, the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like. Subscribe if you want. I'd really appreciate it. And, you know, type up in the comment section how you feel about the Team A Shezarr Jesta. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And playing it, I think it's a pretty fun suit. Now, I mentioned that people were calling it overpowered, and that's something I don't know if I want to call it overpowered yet. I'm going to give it a week or two to see if it is. And the reason for that is because, like I mentioned, if you're one of the things people were talking about, it was the ability to get in, get that heavy attack, and just dip out. Because, you know, you can fly away from enemies, right? I'm going to see just how the enemy team, or just how people in this game will handle this suit. The stats of the suit aren't incredible, as I mentioned. It's more, the good things about the suit are more so because of the skills and not the suit itself. The stats aren't super amazing. The heavy attack, the flat booster, especially the flat booster combined with the EX boost and the heavy attack and stealth, basically keeps it to where if you have a smart enough player, they can just play ring around the rosy with the enemy team, just keep on poking them with high damaging heavy attacks, keep the support at bay pretty much, keep the team guessing where they're going to be at, you know, instill fear into them pretty much. So it'd be interesting to see where exactly the suit goes in the next week or two, or, you know, maybe down the line in a month. I know some people are calling for some nerfs, and again, I'll have to play some more with it and see how other people play with it. Because I have seen some pretty disgusting gameplay with this suit, doing some insane things. But I think it's, again, I had to see how people will play against it. It will definitely be I think it's definitely a strong suit. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a bad suit. Overpowered, I'm just kind of biting my tongue on that one, right? On that word, being overpowered. Definitely a strong suit. Totally a strong suit. And if I think I do recommend you guys roll for this if you want a pretty unique and fun raid to play. Like I said, I'm not really good with raids, but this one's pretty fun to play. I do have some snippets I wanna show at some point with me and Taro playing it and just doing dumb things with it. You know, it's again, it's a pretty fun suit. I think the way it plays, it definitely stands out on its own. It's probably something you can roll for if you want to spend the tokens. Now I know, you know, New Year's is coming up, so there might be something pretty big around the corner, right? So if you want to save your tokens, that's fine. But yeah, that'll be it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.